I came across a story that involves Molly and also a garden gnome. And these two
Usually that they do go together, actually.
yeah, like peanut butter and chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Molly and garden gnomes go hand in hand. So the title of this story from BBC, the lovely reporters at BBC, which was definitely not written by AI, because I don't think if you gave AI 1,000
Couldn't even
chances,
come up with
it
this.
would write you an article that had to do with MDMA and garden gnomes. But BBC writes that the Dutch police have found a gnome made of MDMA during a recent drug bust.
Okay.
So apparently, officers in the southern Netherlands have found a garden gnome weighing nearly 4 pounds,
Wow,
two
hefty.
kilograms for our international listeners out there. And the garden gnome weighing 4 pounds was made entirely of the drug MDMA.
Wow. That's pretty crafty, actually.
Very
I
crafty.
like that.
A lot of careful sculpting going
Yes.
on
And you could just
for
break
sure.
off a piece. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like when you get like a chocolate bunny for Easter and you just break off an ear and eat it. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, just break off a little tip of the gnome hat
Yeah.
and let's get booked up.
Oh my God. If grandma gave me a Molly bunny on Easter instead of a chocolate,
Yeah.
God, I would have hung out with her so much more.
I
She's,
bet.
and it would the hangouts would have been much more interesting because I'm sure we would have shared the bunny.
Absolutely. Grandma would have been doing crazy shit.
Oh yeah. So a police officer on the case said, quote, "The drugs appear in many shapes and sizes, but every now and again we come across special things." I'll say that again. The police officer, this is a quote from the Dogeman police officer that discovered or was on the team that discovered the Molly. He said drugs appear in many shapes and sizes, but every now and again we come across these special things.
That's beautiful.
It sounds like this police officer chipped some of the Molly off the gnome and popped it into his mouth. Was
It's so
enjoying it.
special.
He was enjoying it during the investigation, and then a reporter came up to him on the way back to the precinct and was like, "What do you think about this drug bust?" And he goes, sometimes special things just happen in the universe, and we come across them, and we want to judge, but at the same time, we just open our hearts
Look
to
at
wherever the
this.
investigation
Look
leads.
at this work of art.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Well,
craftsmanship.
yeah. And I might leave my wife for this gnome, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
is what the officer said.
Mm,
He looked into the gnome's eyes and it started speaking the words of love
yeah.
directly to his heart. The article goes on to say, although it is not known which area the gnome was recovered in, and it sounds like it didn't say exactly where it was in the article because it's an ongoing investigation, but it sounds like some sort of drug house or den, wherever they were watching people for a while and then busted in. So it says, although it's not known which area in this house the gnome was recovered in, the gnome was found among suspected narcotics during the large drug search. Quote, in itself is a strange place to keep your garden gnome. And I think there's some mistranslation there with the Dutch because that's not a sentence. but it itself is a strange place to keep your garden gnome is what I think they meant to
Hmm.
say.
Okay.
That's why we decided to test it for narcotics. And
Okay.
this is very upsetting that these guys were caught with the garden gnome, and now knowing that this article was on BBC and officers across the nation will be looking for drugs in inanimate objects because now I have to get rid of my crystal meth Christmas tree. The
Oh,
the the,
no.
the cops are gonna be on to me at this
Wow.
point. They're gonna, if there's a drug bust, they're gonna look at that tree and go, there's something odd about the meth flakes hanging off that you're trying to
Right?
pass off as ornaments.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm scared that there's a
You know
bust coming in
what?
my apartment.
You're right. I actually probably should get rid of my heroin holiday lights. I should
Ah,
probably
yes,
maybe take those down.
yeah.
Um,
And those are
Yeah, good
perfect for
call.
heroin. Those are perfect for heroin because you already have the bulb. So you
Yep.
can just keep the heroin in the bulb. All you need is
Mm-hmm.
to put a lighter right up to the bulb
Yeah.
and then you
I
just
know. I
crack
got
it.
them. I got them on sale. It was buy one get one, and
Yeah.
they're strung up all around the outside of the house. And I
Yeah.
just step out when I need a little bit.
Yeah.
But if the police are coming, I'll take them down for sure.
Are you going to get rid of your PCP peppermint patties or are you going to keep those?
I'm actually gonna do those. Like, you know how you have those advent calendars? I'm gonna
Yeah.
do my PCP peppermint patties like one a day, and I'm gonna start early though, so I can get them in.
Yeah. Are you going to say a rosary prayer before you do each PCP patty to follow along with the calendar just to thank Jesus for
Yeah,
everything
of
in your life
course,
and just keep that daily calendar going.
of course, absolutely.
Yeah. That's
Wait,
and
what was the gnome solid, or was it a solid gnome
it was
of
it was a s-
Molly, or
it
was
was
it like little Molly tablets like
so
in the shape of a gnome?
this article did not. I tried looking for a photo before and I couldn't see it, but let me just take a quick look. Oh, okay, here we go. I'm
Wait,
gonna
it
s-
actually looks like a garden gnome.
yes, I'm going. Are you looking at it right now?
I was googling what MDMA looks like, and it's usually colorful little tablets. So then I
Okay,
googled MDMA garden gnome,
gotcha.
and yeah, I mean it literally looks like a garden gnome. I
It
would
yeah,
not have thought that that was MDMA at all.
it looks like stone. For
Yeah,
people that are
a
just
stone.
listening,
Exactly.
it's a gray stoned gnome that is
Yep.
stoned in more ways than one because it's made entirely out of
Wow, I love
MDMA.
this gnome, and it's got its hands kind of covering its mouth like it's giggling, like hee hee
Yeah,
hee
yeah. You don't know the surprise inside.
hee hee hee. I'm made of MDMA.
Yeah, I'm just imagining the scene where the cops bust in to the drug dealer's place and they just go, "Get on the ground, get on the fucking ground." And then one of the drug dealers leaps on the gnome and starts biting into it like, "No." Just biting its head off. I'm going to take it with me. Oh my God, this is so much harder to eat than I anticipated. Ah.
Wow. That is so crazy. This is not what I expected it to look like, though. I really didn't. I'd expected it to be a little more obvious.
Yeah.
And this garden gnome really looks like a gnome you could just put outside in your garden and people would walk past all the time and not
Yeah.
know that this is made of Molly.
Yeah. It also makes me think that now the one of the cops were in on it
Uh
because
huh.
you'd
How
have
did
to
you
have a
know?
pretty good eye to know that a garden gnome like that, because it's very
Unless there was a
impressive.
canine, I guess. If there was a canine around and it was like, oh, this gnome is not what it appears to be.
Could have been a
Um,
canine around, or it could have been a cop that was on the inside,
yeah, in the
and
garden gnome MDMA business.
he was one of the guys who maybe he was the sculptor of MDMA because you need the
Or they
drugs.
didn't choose his design. He made a
Yeah,
different design.
yeah. Yeah, maybe he was also a competitor. The cop was a
Yes.
competitor, and he was like, "This is too close to the gnomes that I'm making. I'm also in the Molly gnome business. I'm gonna have to take this and study it for myself." And that's what happens in the criminal underworld. Sometimes you get burned by
Mm-hmm.
cops, and sometimes the
Yeah.
cops are the ones that
It's
are
a
the
dangerous
criminals.
game. You
Yeah,
gotta keep your friends closer. Wait, no, your friends close and your enemies closer.
yeah. And the garden
Mm,
gnomes made of Molly
even closer.
closest. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
As close as possible.
Yeah. I
Um,
I'm also imagining a situation where the drug dealer is, he's watching the cops turn over his place and they find the cash under the mattress, they find the drugs in the drawers, and then the cops start to leave and they go, "All right, we're heading out of here. We got you. We got everything." And the drug dealer's sitting in the corner handcuffed going, "Phew. At least they didn't find the gnome." And then right as the cop is walking out, he looks to the side and goes, "What the fuck is that gnome doing inside? Shouldn't that be in a garden somewhere?" And the guy
yeah.
goes, "Shit."
Yeah. The cop just takes it and then like buckles it into the passenger seat.
Yeah. Yeah.
The gnome rides up front, but you get in the fucking back. You're going to jail.
Yeah. Yeah. The cop's like, is there anything we should know about this gnome? And the drug dealer's like, no, nothing in particular. And the cop's like, well, why is your friend licking it? Like his life depends on it. Why? That seems odd that he'd be licking a gnome and
why are you guys all
EDM.
sweating profusely?
Yeah.
And like horny.